Good afternoon, hello, and a very, very warm welcome. I am so excited to be here. This is the first time I've ever done this, and it's new technology for me, so I just want to make sure that we're live and you can hear me. So I've got my amazing technical VA on standby. Are we recording, John? It may actually take a few minutes for you to hear it. So I just want to make sure that you can hear everything I've got to say. I'm so excited to be here today. So it's telling me that we're live. I'm just going to double check that we are. Okay, that's fantastic. We are live and ready to go. Oh my goodness. I decided to do this webinar a few weeks ago, and so much has happened since September or in the past few months, but so much has just happened in the past few weeks. And I'm really, really excited to be here today. I've got so much amazing content that I want to share, some of which I've only ever shared before with my high-level clients, people that come and work intensively with me, and some brand new stuff that's really only been happening for me in the past few days, in the past few months, that I felt too vulnerable to share. But I'm really, really thrilled that you can join me, and my intention for you is that you get tons of value from it. So I've promised to over deliver. I want you to take loads of notes. It's not just about the content, because like what I teach, like sometimes have you ever been to events and I remember one specific event I went to and I could feel my cells shifting. It was amazing. Now, I don't know if that will happen for you today, but oftentimes when you put yourself in this environment to step up and make a difference in your life, things can start to change. I remember when I first started out and was offering a marketing audit consultation, I'd turn up at I actually physically visited people's premises then, and they'd tell me, oh my goodness, I've already had 2 new clients already, or our sales have gone up. And they hadn't had the consultation. I hadn't taught them anything. I hadn't showed them what they could do. It was just by taking that step that things started to shift. And some of you may have experienced that by signing up for this webinar, showing up live and being here with me today. Like, you're making a really clear intention that you want to earn an extra £5,000 to £10,000 a month. So congratulations on being here. Like, you've taken the first step. I shared in an email a couple of days ago that oftentimes it just takes with taking the first step. And I'm going to get into a little bit more detail about the way our brains work, especially when we've got something, especially when there's something really big, like our brains cannot cope with it. So this is my first Google Hangout, and I'm so excited to be here. And the reason I wanted to do this webinar was because I see people who want to make more money, but yet they're not. You see, they see it as possible, but they're not there yet. And I'm going to be sharing with you today, like, my process for making an extra £5,000 to £10,000 each and every month. Like, one thing I love to do is I love to look at the processes. I'm not the most organized person in the world. If you saw my house, you could see that. I do love the process. I do love the step by step. So I like to take something that looks maybe complicated and simplify it for people. And usually, like, when people come and see me on a VIP day, they tell me, oh my goodness, I didn't realize it could be so simple. Is that it? And it is. So I'm going to be sharing, like, one of my clients, she went and she made £3,500 in an hour. I'm going to be sharing how she did that. What it is that's stopping you from making £10,000 a month, or £5,000 a month, or whatever it is, like, whatever your goal is. Because I know, because some people have signed up to have a consultation with me, and like, their goal isn't to make an extra £5,000 a month or an extra £10,000 a month. It's less than that. But in some ways you're stopping yourself. I'm also going to be sharing sort of like how you can find the clients able and willing to pay. So I've got so much content that I want to teach. We're going to be together for the next hour. I'm not selling anything on this webinar. If you want to work with me, I'll be sharing how you can take that next step, but there isn't anything for you to buy here today. So now this webinar is designed for a coaching business, but I know there are some of you here who don't have a coaching business, and what I teach you today, the same steps apply, because we're going to be digging deep into the mindset and what applies for your what applies to a coaching business can also apply to other business, but predominantly it is set up for a coaching business. So how you can make big income in a coaching business. Now, I haven't checked the stats for a little while, but a couple of years ago I learned that like over 80% of coaches didn't make more than £15,000 a year. And it's like, oh my goodness, so many coaches are struggling out there. And yet it's a growing industry. There's loads more coaches today than there was 10 years ago. And there's no need to struggle. I mean, the industry is also amazing because it's the one industry where you can totally transform overnight. Like, you've heard the stories of people who've gone from nothing to 6 figures in 4 or 5 or 6 months, or in a year. Now, I'd love to tell you that was me, but it wasn't. My journey was not like that. So I know some of you are watching me for the first time. You're brand new. You don't know. You don't know exactly what my story, as it were. So I just want to share with you my journey, because I've been in business for 10 years. I'm actually celebrating my 10th year in business. Woohoo! Which is really exciting. But when I look back, it's like when I started my business, I wanted to make more money. I was fed up working for someone else. I got a 2-year-old son. I was going to work. We exported 50%. In my veins is travel. I love to travel, and I was lucky enough to have a job that involved travel. So I would be traveling 3 or 4 times a year overseas, and getting to go to Mexico and even Tenerife. How cool is that? To be in a resort in Tenerife, I wasn't running a retreat, but I helped people with instruments for plant science, and it was like a research workshop that I was at. But how cool is that, to be in Tenerife? I remember opening the door and going, wow, just looking at the swimming pool. But anyway, I digress. But when my son was born, so that was great when you didn't have children, but when my son was born, I didn't want to be away so much. There was nothing worse. I remember being at the airport. He was 5 months old, and I had to leave him for the first time. I got charged for excess baggage, and I just burst into tears. It was horrible. I was on business, so I wasn't even paying for the excess baggage. But it was the thought of leaving my little boy for a week. It was horrible. And I just, I think that was the start for me, but it took me 2 years before I plucked up enough courage to find something else, because I didn't know what I would do. I didn't know what gifts I had, what I could do. I was working in sales and marketing, but I didn't feel I had enough experience in sales and marketing. But I went to a business startup show, and I saw a guy speak, and he was talking about Robert Kiyosaki's work and how you've got an investor and a business owner and self-employed person and an employee. And it's like, right, I want to be a business owner. And they were offering, the guy who was speaking was offering an opportunity to train with them. And I became an accredited consultant with an organization. It was an international business development organization started in Australia. And I decided to train with them. And I turned up at my first training weekend, really nervous. The guy leading it was, I'm not sure Million is going to make it. Oh dear. But I desired it so much. I did the training for the 2 days. In between time, I'd had a big box of marketing materials, which I devoured. I learned more in 2 weeks reading those marketing materials than I had in the whole 7 years I was employed in sales and marketing. Oh my goodness. it just blew me away, because when you learn marketing, and some of you may even have a marketing degree, they teach you big business marketing. They teach you, you've got to find the right market. You've got to get your, what is it, the 4 Ps in place, which doesn't work for a small business. It doesn't work for sole traders. It certainly doesn't work in the coaching business. Well, some of it's relevant, but what I learned was about finding clients, and I was taught a system for finding a client. I left that training on the Sunday. On the Wednesday, I was making cold calls. I picked up the phone, told people I was the best business consultant, and I'd got some time in Mid Wales, and I got some time to help another business. And my knees were knocking as I was making these calls, but I knew the fastest way for me to get in front of those clients was to pick up the phone. Now, I never really enjoyed cold calling. The results I got from it weren't that great. But when you want to start a business, it's still the fastest way. And I needed to practice. I needed to get in front of business owners, because I wasn't going to make a sale from my first, from the first person I saw. It's like, it takes practice. You've got to get it in the muscle. And it probably took around maybe 15 or 16 appointments, face-to-face appointments, before the first person said yes. But after that, I was hooked. And it was about 6 weeks later. I was working full time. My son was 2. I took days off work. I did it at the weekend. So I was busy, but I was determined. That first sale gave me the confidence to hand in my notice at work. I worked part-time for a few months and then did it full-time. And I'd love to say, and after that it was easy, but it wasn't. It's like, I consistently found clients because I had a process to do so. But as soon as I got a client, I'd stop. I'd kind of like take 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And I've been in business for 5 years, and I was turning over money. I was able to sort of like pay our mortgage. It was going okay, but I really wasn't making any profits in the business. And my accountant suggested I give up. And I just looked at him and said, no way. I'm going to turn this around. You watch, next year, I'm going to have made a profit. I invested in mentors that year, and my whole business model, and the following year, my business tripled. And it tripled again the following year. And, oh my goodness, like, that was amazing. And like, I consistently kept it up there, but then just recently, and I shared, so some of you realize that, like, I would love to say, like, at that point it was great, but it wasn't. Like, there was still, after that, like, I've been in business for 10 years, and throughout that time there's been some really dark days. But what I do know, like, is that, like, it's not just like being in business. It's not just about finding clients. There's so much more to it, especially if you want to make consistent income in your business. Like, it's like when you sign up for your business, you have this, you've got to go through a whole transformational journey. At least that's been my journey. It's like, you hear like these one about people that have had like that success, but you don't hear about, or you might hear a bit, it's like, this is what it was like before, this is what it's like now. Actually, you do not get to a point where everything's amazing. You get to, it's all on the journey, and what I'm learning to do is loving that journey. So the fact that I'm here with you today sharing it, and it's not like I've got all my stuff sorted out, because I haven't. But one thing I do know is I do know about selling high value coaching programs. I do know about getting clients. I do know about sales. I do know about bringing people through the door. And I'm going to be sharing some of that with you today. And I started out with nothing, essentially. I had invested in my business. I invested in the training in order to be an accredited consultant. And after that, like, I got the training, like, throughout, and I've been reflecting on this today as I've been preparing for this webinar. I've always taken shortcuts. I've always looked at what's working. I haven't created anything new. right? What I'm teaching you today isn't like a load of new, isn't a ton of new stuff. It's not, I haven't been given something really unique to share. But what I am very good at is taking what's working for other people, doing it, like giving it my own little twist and my own little quirk and getting it out there. And I want you to know, from wherever you are, like wherever you are in your business, you can take these principles and apply them. So I have 7 steps, and when I came to share these 7 steps as I was working out my original, like, I have a theory. I have the way I run my business is like, build the plane as you're flying it. So I do not sit at home and create a program. I do not sit at home and design a webinar before I've tested the market, because I could spend 3 weeks or 4 weeks or 6 months creating something that no one wants. Every time, like, I didn't, like, when I started my business, there were people out there that started with me. They had to get their website sorted out first. One of them even had to go get a car, so he looked the part when he turned up at business owner's premises. I did none of that. Like, I finished the training on the Sunday. On the Wednesday, I was making cold calls with my knees knocking. I had these really scrappy business cards I printed off myself. If I look at them, I can still see them. I'm smiling. You can see how just that they were awful. But it wasn't fancy business cards that was going to get me clients. It was being in front of people. Like, it wasn't even letting them know I was available, because people think, like, you build a website and they'll come. And I have, like, people, I'll be speaking to people and they're like, oh yeah, I want to work with you, but I want to get my website sorted out first. And I internally, I mean, I just kind of like really go, oh no, because just having a website isn't enough. And not many people know how to make a website that actually gets results. Like, every time, like, people land on my website and they get into a process in order to learn more with me. Is it perfect? No, not in a million years. But it's built me a list of over 4,000 people. But most websites, and especially there are web designers out there that they don't understand, like, how to get clients or what makes it work. And I'm not talking about branding. It's really how to find, like, how to get in front of people, like how to get people to, like, raise their hands. Like, to get clients, you've got to find out what people want and give them what they want. Now, it sounds really simple. It is, but it is just like that. Find out what someone wants and then give them what they want. And if you can't help them, like, I will be speaking to people and say, look, I'm not the best person to help you. Does that mean I can't help them? No, but it does mean that like, there's other people where they're currently at. It may be that that in the future they'll be ready. So anyway, so my favorite method is to put something out there and see if the market wants it. If the market doesn't want it, I'm not going to go and create it. And so when I put this webinar together, like, I knew what I wanted to teach, but I hadn't sort of, like, written slides or created anything. And when I actually came to map out the 7 steps, like, when I thought about the 7-step process, I thought it was my 7 steps, like how to get new clients, like, but I realized it wasn't. Because when it comes to making an extra 5 or 10,000 pounds a month, it's a different process. It is not enough just to have the sales process, because you can have the sales process, but at this level, especially if it's something that you've never done before, like, mindset kicks in a big way. And my original 7 steps never had that. So I'm going to be sharing my 7 steps. Now, I could spend 3 days on teaching these 7 steps. And as I was driving back from swimming today, I thought, you know what, I'm going to do that. But right now, I'm going to share my steps and give you as much as I can in the time that we've got available. And as I said, for those of you that want more, I'll let you know how we can speak one-on-one, and I can actually help you to make this additional income. So the first step, and this is really vital, and it's probably something that people don't really discuss, you've got to be really clear on what the additional income will do for you. What do you want that money for? Like, we have, especially in the coaching world, like make £100,000 or $100,000. Now, I was reading recently. I do a lot of reading. I do a lot of like invest in myself, and I'm constantly learning. I'm constantly learning, and I'm constantly applying. But it was about how our brains do not, like, you can trip them up. So I'm not a psychologist, but basically when we have too big a goal, or it's like, I want to make £10,000 a month, and you're currently making 1,000. It's like your brain doesn't know what to do with it. It's like where to go with it. So we have this, I want to make £100,000, or I want to make $100,000, and yet it's so far out there that our brains can't get past it. So then we can't, kind of like, we go to overwhelm or overdrive, and it just doesn't happen. And what you need to do is, like, what will that additional income do for you? Because what I've noticed is the universe will give you what you need, not necessarily what you want. And if you, it can give you what you want, but you've got to be really clear on what that will do, what it will do for you. Like, really relate to it. So if you want to make £10,000 a month, like, why do you want to do it? What is that going to give you? And what specifically are you going to be spending that money on? Because it's like, otherwise it's just an arbitrary figure. And so write down what it is. And you might find, actually, you say you want to make 10,000 a month, but actually when you look at it, when you put down everything you want to buy, it's about 5,000 a month. And also it's like, start with the first step. My son wanted to earn some money. Because he wanted to buy something. It's like, how can I earn £5? And he started, and you'll have heard this story. I said, look, you can hoover my car. I'll give you £2. It's like, well, but I need 5. Take that first step. It's like, always take that first step. And if you have an idea, follow it. The second is, like, huge. So it's develop the right mindset. Now, that in itself could be a dozen different steps. So each of these steps I'm sharing, the 7 steps, there are numerous steps, like, within that. But the second thing, you've got to get the right mindset. And firstly, you have to make a decision. You have to decide that you are going to make an extra £5,000. Like, you've literally got to decide it. And I had a beautiful demonstration at the weekend. I was at a conference called Ignite, which is it's a 2-day seminar. It happens every year. It's run by Damsels in Success, and it was just amazing. I've been to every conference. And I was there at the weekend, not so much learning new stuff, but just the insights I achieved in myself and my own process were extraordinary. So we were sat on the very first day, and, like, one of the things I know is, like, if you want something in your life, the first thing is you have to make a decision. You have to decide you're going to get it. And most people think they've decided, and they haven't. So you may think, by showing up to this call, that you've decided, right, yes, I've decided I'm going to make £5,000 a month, or I'm going to make £10,000 a month. When actually, you haven't. Now, at the weekend, I have been going through some stuff recently, and for me, my journeys, it's been about struggle. So I've had so much ease, it's unreal, but it keeps reverting back to stress and struggle. And I did a process at the weekend, and it was to look at, like, what a negative pattern was, and do we need to let go of it. Now, this has been repeating for years. It's just, like, increased. So the pattern's been the same. And at the weekend, we went through a process to clear it. And through that process, I realized I didn't want to let go of it. I wanted that in my life. Like, it's like this thing I've been wanting to get rid of. It's like, why me? A lot more tolerant of it now. But still looking, it's like, well, what am I gaining from it? And I couldn't figure it out. It's like, well, nothing. But obviously I was, but I didn't want to. For some reason in my journey, that was still serving me. But not only was it serving me, it's like I wanted it. It's like, can you imagine wanting stress and struggle and hard work? So I didn't want to. Oh my goodness, that was just a major aha for me, because I like, now I can do something. It was like I wrote down, cool. It was really exciting, because it's like, if I don't want it, no wonder I'm not going to stop it. So rather than trying to figure out why, it's like, oh, I don't want to give this up. That in itself might be enough. It's too early to tell. This is on Saturday, it's only Tuesday. But honestly, like, the reason you're not making the money you want in your business is at some level you don't want to, unconsciously. And because you're going to have to give up, like, who you know yourself to be. So for me, like, this whole idea, it's like, oh my goodness, I'd have to give up who I know myself to be. So I'm going to tell you, I've not shared this before, but I'm going to tell you what got me making £10,000 a month. It was investing £6,000 a month in a mentor. And I did that for 6 months. Now, at the time, it was like, I really wanted to do it. 6 months later, after I'd finished, it was like, oh my goodness, that was the nuts thing to do. Now, I know, like, I'm a bit extreme, so you don't have to go and do, like, anything extreme. But that was what it took for me to make 10,000 a month. But as soon as I wasn't needing to generate that income, then I didn't need it. But I gave myself such a hard time after that, because it's like, well, how can I teach people how to make more money when, like I shared with some of you, my turnover had gone down. And my turnover had gone down, not because I didn't know how to make more money, but keeping it in my life. I needed to, like I said at the beginning about transforming at a cellular level, myself needed to shift around money. And for some of you, that's the same. Like, most of my clients, like the people I work with, it's not like I'm this guru or way ahead of everyone's journey. I'm a few steps ahead. Like, I've experienced what I teach. I've experienced. I cannot teach anything I haven't experienced. I was in the States in September, and like, the training I had there has totally blown my mind. Like, it's like, oh my goodness, I have to look at life in a totally different way. My close friends know about what I've experienced, but I'm not able to teach that yet because I haven't integrated it. It's like, whoa. And what do I do with it? Like, seriously, it was like I've been spun around in a washing machine. But as soon as I'm ready to teach it, I'll be teaching it. And I'm teaching certain aspects of it, but not like in a big way. And my mentor at the time, the one, she's actually said to me, go big or go home. And I could look very cynically on that. She'd got this high ticket program to sell, but actually she was right. Like, she could see something a few years ago that I couldn't see for myself. And I would do that again in a heartbeat. It's like, it's part of my journey. So wherever you're at in your journey, it's part of your journey to be there. Like, nothing is random. Nothing at all is random. Like, think about your favorite movie, or think about your favorite book. So just take a moment, think about what your favorite movie is. Is there anything in that movie or that book that doesn't make sense? It's not part of the plot. Think about the great movies. There's nothing in there. Like your life, like, I was there at the weekend and everybody was telling their story. Like, we live our lives in stories. We have stories to tell. That's what life's all about. It's a great story. Or sometimes it might not feel that way, but greatness comes through struggle. our creativity comes through struggle. We might not want it, but it, like, if you just felt joy the whole time, joy, like just joy, so you didn't experience excitement, you didn't experience fun, you didn't experience, I don't know, the words are gone, but just imagine if you just felt that one emotion, life would be boring. I remember I spent the summer in the States when I was 16, and by the end of it, it was beautiful hot days. I love heat, I love the sunshine, but after 8 weeks, I was tired of not what I wanted to wear a jumper. So we like the contrast. It's like you couldn't have sweet without sour, so you can't have the ups without the downs. And the downs, they're, who says they're any different anyway? It's just what, there's just labels we give things. Anyway, I digress. But if you think about it, it's like your life is a journey, and being in business and making more money in business, you have to develop the right mindset. And you need those tools. So that's the second step. The third step is find out what your ideal clients really want and then give it to them. Now, you've probably heard this before. If you've done any kind of marketing training, or if you've read any of my blog posts, you'll know it's like find out what people want and give it to them. Like talk to them, like ask them. But the thing is, you can't just do some random market research. You have to speak to your ideal clients, like people who are going to put their hands in their pocket and pay you. So when I say find out what clients really want, it's like when I say talk to them, I'm really referring to having sales conversations. Like I know what my clients want because I've put things out there and people have responded. Conversely, I've put things out there and people haven't responded. And we may think, like, especially when you've been in business for some time, or especially when you're on a personal development journey, or especially when you've evolved so much, you now think, okay, well, people need this. But people don't buy what they need, they buy what they want. And what you want to give them may not be what they want. Like I know people want more clients, they want to make more money, they want more clients. But the bottom line is people want more clients to give them the more money. So generally speaking, people see that. And the great thing is I have a step-by-step process in order to do that. So that's the third step. Now, the fourth step in making an extra £5,000 to £10,000 a month in your coaching practice, and remember this is in your coaching practice, is to create a high-level coaching program that will deliver the transformation that your clients want. So when you found out what they want, they're looking for transformation. And you want to go a little bit deeper. You want to find out like their reasons why and what that's going to give them. And then you have to create something that's going to support them with that. It's not, and this isn't about adding a zero. Like everyone who's had a strategy session with me, or not everyone actually, but most people, probably 80% of people, and why the coach, like especially the people that coach with me at some level, I'll be encouraging them to put their prices up. But it isn't about just like doubling your price. It's about really figuring out what the value is that people are doing, and it's being true to you. I watched someone who I'd had a conversation with a few years ago. She didn't have a business and she was up on stage at Ignite, totally rocking it. She had amazing success in her business in a few short years. And it was such a joy to watch, but what I loved so much was she was true to her. They were her ideals. And so many people, especially in the coaching world, it's like, well, what have I got to give? Like, why would people buy from me? You look at it, well, like, there's other people out there. What have I got to offer that's different? And it's a given that you're going to be technically good at what you do. But there are some people that are going to want to learn from you rather than someone else. And the truth, and also the people don't want to learn necessarily from the amazing gurus, like the people that are really kind of like on $1 million or like really taking it, really rocking it, when they can't pay the bills because it's too far removed from it. It's like they want to learn from someone who's a few steps ahead. It's like you look at little children; they want to be like their little brother that's 2 years older. They don't want to be like the brother that's 10 years older. And that all comes in with a mindset. Like there's a mindset piece. It's not about adding a zero, but also don't look at what others are doing. What's there that's unique to you? Like what will be fun for you? I've just come back in October. I led a retreat, and I'd never led a retreat before. Like one thing that I know, and I'm sorry, that's note to self: make sure you switch off phone calls before doing a webinar. So hopefully that will stop in a few minutes. Stop in a few minutes. So I led a retreat in Portugal. And I've never run a retreat before. Like I love doing things for the first time. It's sort of like really juices me up and like gives me so much excitement. But I've not taken a retreat abroad. I've not done a 3-day retreat in the UK. It's kind of like, so my first retreat was abroad, like which strikes me as a bit nuts, but that's who I am. But that was going to be fun for me. That was exciting. Like when I was putting it together, like, oh my goodness, like everything I've done has been really scary, but I haven't really sort of like looked at it because like other people run retreats, why can't I? Other people run retreats abroad. Like if others can do it, so can I. One of my clients said to me the other day, she said, if Melina can do it, I can do it. And it's so true. Like I really see if I can do it, anyone can do it. Like nothing's impossible. Like everything's totally possible if it's true for you. But I also wanted to create, like we went to the most magical location. I had a villa and it was amazing. It was just so incredible. Everything about it, like the space we had, both the indoor space and the outdoor space was just amazing. But I also wanted to create some fun, and I knew I had this idea. I knew I wanted to take people to the beach, but I didn't know why. And but it was like I didn't just want it to be, oh, let's take a trip to the beach. But you see, there's something about the sea, like the ocean is huge, and I sort of like got the idea whilst I was there. But the ocean is huge, and when you step into the ocean, it's like you're really stepping into like the vast unknown. And these waves were huge, like they would knock you over. And I didn't make anyone go in who didn't want to, but I really encouraged them to, because like some things for some people, just getting in, it was cold. It wasn't actually that cold, but it was like the thought of it. But that was really fun and truly transformational. Just being able, I know one of my clients there was like, just needed the confidence of me just standing there. I wasn't forcing her to go in, but just really encouraging and just waiting until she was ready. And it was amazing. So it's got to be fun for you, but it's also got to deliver what it is that you want your clients to have. Like oh my goodness, I looked at so many villas for this retreat, like so many. But so many of them wouldn't have been appropriate because it was about expanding, it was about accelerating their business. So it had to be expansive, it had to be amazing, it had to be stunning, it had to have that wow factor, and it had to have a swimming pool so I could go swimming every morning. And it had to be within walking distance of the beach, like there were certain criteria. And this villa was perfect. And yes, to hire it for a week was double what others were charging. But it wasn't, I couldn't have done it anywhere else. But it's got to be in alignment. So it has to deliver the transformation. And now but it has to, like, if you want to make, let's just take £10,000 a month. Like, if you want to make £10,000 a month, like, you could do it. You could sell 100 programs at £100. I think that's the right math. That's going to be pretty exhausting, unless you've got a JV partner or you've got a list and you can just send out an email. But as coaches, like, we want to make a difference, and when people invest at a high level, they get the results because they're taking that commitment. And the other thing to remember is, like, they're investing in themselves through you. They're not investing in you. Like, so many people, it's like, will say, oh, I'm not worth that much. And it's like, no, but are they? Like, when I invested $50,000, $55,000 in this coaching program, I was invested in myself. Yes, I was paying someone else, but it was like I was setting a clear intention that I was worth it. So they're investing in themselves. Now, it's much easier to sell. Like, honestly, what people will go through depends on them. And I know, like, the first time that I was invited to step up and do a high-level coaching program, it was like, oh my goodness, it was just too scary, and I wasn't there, and my business wasn't making enough money to just, like, not to justify it, but it was like my husband said it was scaring me. I was like, okay, but there was that, having planted that seed, it was next for me to come. Now, some of you may be thinking, okay, oh, I'm not ready yet. Just be a bit wary. If you said that, like, I never said at that time I wasn't ready yet. I wanted it and I couldn't have it. I never ever wanted to be in that position again. It's like, and I got out of it. I made sure I was never in that position again. If I want something, I will do it. If it's true for me. So when I don't do something, I've got to really look at it. So it's much easier to sell like one person a £5,000 program than it is to sell 5 people in a £1,000 program. Especially if you have the right people. So you need to find the right people. Now, if you want, like, I'm assuming that everybody here knows about creating high-level programs and they want to create it. And for some of you, it might be you're charging anything from £45 an hour to £80 or £85, £100 even an hour. So the thought of charging £2,500 is just like, oh my goodness, it's just totally beyond. But people charge that and people get it. So if that's something you want to look at for your own business, then at the end, I'll show you where you can sign up for a one-to-one consultation with me, and we can actually look at what that would look like for you. And this, so yeah, so I was just going to tell you about my client, but I'll tell you about her in a second. So the next step, so you have to create a high-level coaching program in alignment with the transformation that you're offering. The 5th thing is to promote an irresistible offer. I'm smiling because sometimes I think, well, everyone knows all of this, but actually people don't realize just how important it is. Now, if you want to have long-term consistent income, you need to find a way where people can get to know you without any real emotional cost to themselves. Like, you're all here watching this webinar. And now, you may not have actually wanted to sign up before this webinar to say, hey, Melina, yeah, I want you to map out that. Like, that's like taking it to a whole new level. So you have to create something that's easy for people to say yes to. Like, find out what they want, then make it easy for them to say yes to. Now, for sure, my business is business by results. I'm a results junkie. I love to share success stories of my clients. I love to get the short-term quick wins. So I want people to go out and use what I have had. I want people to have a discovery session with me and go and make money from it. And people have, like one person spoke to me and then they went out and put £1,200 in their bank account, like within a few days. Someone else, her desire, like we had a session and within a week she'd made £4,000. So I love those things. This Christmas isn't as fast. It can be pretty fast, but not quite as fast. But once you've created your high-end program, so one of my clients, and a friend of mine is a lady called Cassandra, and she has a business that she's a healer, and she heals through a process called acuenergetics. And she had been working for many years, like one-to-one, like charging per session. She got a good rate. She was charging, I think, £95 per hour for a session. But she wanted to generate more income. And also, she had so much to give, and there was so much she could do for people. So that it wasn't one session at a time, just wasn't enough. Like some people would come for 2 or 3 sessions at a time, and it still wasn't. It's like there was still more that she could do. And we spent some time together, and we came up with a program for her that really took the work that she was doing and really went deep, that could really totally transform someone. And she works in the realm of health, so this was for people that had a health issue. And we came up with a program. It was £3,500, the program that we came up with. And she went and she then phoned a client who was sick in bed. But he got up from his sick bed to speak with her and said yes on the spot. Paid her there and then. I'm not sure if it was in full or it was spread over a few months. But it doesn't have to take, like, this was like we spoke and within an hour she'd made that money. Now, if you're starting out, it maybe you don't have that. But I was at the conference at the weekend, and someone shared with me how she was chatting to someone. She was just there, and someone came up to say, "I have to work with you." She'd never met that person before. So just by being open to creating this money, this additional income, like stuff will appear. So it doesn't have to be a long, drawn-out scenario. But the mindset is key, because if you haven't decided that's what's gonna happen, it isn't gonna happen, and it'll be like, oh, I'm having all these situations and no one's buying. I've done it. I've done like I convert really well. I get hired by other businesses to sell for them. I mean, I look back, and in the 12-month period, I made £180,000. I'd sold that amount for other businesses, and yet in my own business, I wasn't doing as well, and I just thought, so my whole stuff came up. So it's all around mindset. So you can create, the process is simple, honestly. Like when I started out, I knew no better. I knew I had to do 10 business owners a week. If I saw 10 business owners a week, I'd make more money. Did I see 10 business owners a week? No. But when I did, and when I do speak to that many people, then you make more money. So, I've rushed on in my desire to share all of that. The next step, step 6, is to invite them to a free strategy session. Because if you think about it, if you're selling high value programs, you need to speak to them. I've watched people who've created a sales page and they want to sell a program for £5,000. It's like, it's not going to happen. Yes, it could. You need to have you need to be well known in your industry. Like, you need to be the go-to person to do that. Like, I would never attempt to sell a high-ticket program from a sales page. A friend of mine sold from a webinar. She could do that. She was told you can't do that. You can't sell a high-value program from a webinar. So you can. I'm not saying you can't do it, and you might be the exception to the rule. But generally speaking, like, you need to speak to them. So it's So after they've signed up for your webinar, or whether it's a free report, you need to invite them to a strategy session. You need to speak to them. You need to find out where they are and what they've got. Now, I do a lot of these sessions, and more people don't buy from me than do buy from me. It's like they say selling is a numbers game, and I kind of have a little few issues with that, because it's like I see it as a people game. It's like you're connecting with people, and especially in these conversations, like when it's like you're connecting people heart to heart. But in those conversations, people get value whether they're buying or not. Just speaking with you can make a very big difference. And like I've done so many of them, and I'm not saying in all cases, especially when I started out, there were a few disasters, but people get value as a result of that. And go away inspired, they go away excited, they go away with new ideas for their business, they go away with a plan. Some people work with me and some people don't, and that's great. It's like the purpose of these calls is not to sign someone up. The purpose is to find out whether it's a fit. It's like you here, you've all made a commitment, or you've all taken that first step to earn an extra £5,000 or £10,000 a month. And that's what your clients are doing when they step up and speak with you. So you've got to have a conversation with them. And in that conversation, you invite them to take the next step. Make them an offer. You tell them, this is how I can help you. This is how I can work with you. Would you like to go ahead? Don't leave it with them. Like so much of what I teach, like sometimes I was listening to a call yesterday, and she was telling me about a trial close. And I was thinking, I don't do a trial close. Trial close. Oh, I better integrate that. And it's basically where you get people to say yes. It's like if you do any sales training, they'll teach you that. I was like, I don't do it. But when I was listening to how it was explained, it's like, oh, I do it. But I just did it naturally. I didn't even realize, because I hadn't sort of like given it a label. I was doing it, but just not like, and I was aware I was doing it, but I just hadn't given it a name. And what you do for clients, it's is amazing and extraordinary, and you want them to work with you at a higher level. So in those conversations, it's really about you connecting with that person. It's really about them getting you. It's really about you getting them. I mean, I've given like 90-minute training on the sales conversation itself. It's available on my website, which is Business by Results. But like the most important thing in a sales conversation is that rapport and them feeling that you can feel them. So yeah, so you need to invite them to a strategy session, and then ask them to work with you. And the question is, so one of the things I get asked a lot is like, where do you find them? Like, your people are there. Like, I'm pretty certain, like, for everybody, your clients are on Facebook. And like I did for this webinar, I did some Facebook advertising. I dabbled in it a little bit ago, but never really did it. And I did some advertising on Facebook and invested money, and I got 7 times the return on investment. So for every £1 I spent in advertising, I've got £7 back. And that was just the start. Now, so many people say, oh, they can't spend money on advertising, and advertising doesn't work, but it does if it's done in the right way. Like, I just thought, oh, I'll try it, and I try various things. But actually, when I looked at it, everything I've done, I've had training to do, and I've learned from the experts, like everything. So with Facebook, I've learned how to do it. Like, I've seen what works. I've been shown what works. I've been told specifically how to do it. Is it perfect? No. Is it getting me? But it's making money. So it's like finding your ideal clients. It's like, as soon as you know exactly what they want, then you can try different messages. And that it's out there. So they are out there, but the mindset is so important. It's to kind of like go, okay, I know they're out there. Okay, what can I do today? Where can I find them? It's like, if you did 5 things every single day on finding your ideal clients, your business would be transformed. So I just want to recap on the steps, because honestly, I have had so much to share. And so I just want, it's like I honestly could spend 3 days talking about all of this, but the steps are, you want to get clear on what the additional income will do for you. So step 1, get clear on what it will do for you. Don't make it an arbitrary figure. Get really clear it's going to pay for X, Y, and Z, and include investments in there. Like, don't just look at stuff you want to buy. So for me, it's all about like investing 10% of whatever that is, and it's like, where am I going to invest it? That's the exciting thing. Develop the right mindset. Like, that is key. I know that's huge, but it really is. It's like, you've got to get the right mindset, and this is like a step that's kind of like integral to like, it's kind of weaves into everything. It's not like you do this step and then you're done. It's like you're doing this constantly. I'm doing this constantly. You've got to find out what your ideal clients really want. You need to know what it is they want in their language, not what you think it is, in their language. Like, what are they thinking about next thing tonight? You want to create a high-level coaching program that will deliver the transformation your clients want. You want to create, so step 4 is create a high-level coaching program. Step 5 is to create an irresistible free offer, whether that's a webinar, a free report, a bulletin, or a blueprint. Step 6 is to invite them to a free strategy session. And step 7 is to invite them to work with you in a truly transformational way. Now, one of the things I do is I always, like, what I teach, I do. And you can learn a lot by modeling what I do. In fact, I remember having some NLP training when I first started out. And the first thing we did was report, and I was just like having to look at where people's eyes were, matching the voice. I was like, huh? But I never had a problem with rapport. So to try and do all that anyway. So one of the things that I do is I model for you what it is, and I like to, if you really know, like, you're ready to make an extra £5,000 or £10,000 a month, and you'd like my help to do so, I'd love to help you. And I have a number of spots. I've got a few this week. I've got one this afternoon for those people that love to take fast action. And remember, money loves speed. And I've got, I'm not sure if it's 4 or 5 on Thursday, and I've got some more next week. For those of you that would like to that want to find out more, like, map out a plan to make your £5,000 or £10,000 a month. So we're going to look at, like, what is holding you back? Like, what are the mindset blocks that are stopping you from making £5,000 or £10,000 a month? We'll look at the program that you could offer. Like, we'll actually take a look at, like, what it is that you could put into place and make an offer to your clients, and we'll actually look at how you could do it. Everyone who's had a session with me gets massive value at it. So if you'd like to apply, and I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to speak to everybody, but if you want to take the next step, the first step is to apply for a discovery session. If I can't speak to you one-to-one, I have some more training that I will send you free of charge to take it to that next level. So do apply. And the way to apply is to go to melinaabbott.com/10K. So that's Melina Abbott, my name, .com/10, the number 10, so 10K. I like to keep things really simple. And it's, if you really want to, if you want me to help you map out a plan, basically, to put this in into your life. If it's something that I can help you actually implement, then at that point, I'll let you know how we could work together more in depth. But at the moment, like, it's all about taking that next step. And if you'd like to take that next step and help you map out a plan, I'd love to help you. So we're at the top of the hour. I just want to say thank you so much for being here with me today. I have loved every minute. It's been such an honor and such a privilege to share this with you, and I hope you've taken away tons of nuggets. I'd love to hear them. So whether you'd like share with me on Facebook or drop me an email, just like what your biggest aha is, I'd love to hear what that is. In the meantime, I'm hoping to be speaking to some of you, getting that helping you with that plan, and taking it to the next level. So take care, have an amazing afternoon, and I will speak with you very soon. Bye bye.